So we're going to go ahead and take a look at some videos, and this is in regards to the whole Target backlash, specifically with Tabitha Brown, okay? She is yet again in the news. She's in these dirty streets, okay? So people have had just a few issues with her, okay? At first, and I did a video on this, but at first she was talking about how people should support, even though, yeah, I get y'all over here trying to boycott Target, okay? But you should also support Target, specifically Black people. You don't have to get your toilet tissue from here. You don't have to get this, but support Black brands, okay? That's what she was saying at first, because she's like, okay, yeah, you guys are boycotting, but what about the Black people that are already here? I mean, what are we doing with this? So that was a huge issue. And apparently she is back in the news cycle yet again, okay? So people are just like up in arms. They're annoyed with her. And we're going to get into that. Personally, I understand where she's coming from and what she's talking about. And then in regards to this whole DEI Target fiasco, Black people, out of all the DEI, okay, Black people were all the way at the bottom in terms of who benefited from it. White women were above us. You know, people with disabilities. You have veterans. You had older people. You had all of these other groups. And then you have Black people. So I see where she's coming from in regards to that. I mean, if you want to go and boycott Target, I feel like if you're going to boycott Target, though, we should also add Walmart to the list. And we should also add Amazon to that list, too. People be like, yeah, Target. The thing is, Target was an easy thing to boycott. And then we're going to get into the videos. But Target was an easy thing to boycott simply because Target was not necessarily a necessity. Now you may say, well, what do you mean? They have your toilet tissues. They have this. There's more Walmarts out here than there are the Targets, okay? And even with that, the Walmarts are more affordable than the Targets are. That just is what it is. Okay, now you may get more stylish clothing from Target. I know back in the day they were not good, okay? But now you may be able to get more stylish clothes from Target, okay? As opposed to a Walmart. Their produce in Target is also better than that in Walmart, okay? Sam's Club's on a whole nother level. They're good. Okay, but then you would have to get rid of Sam's Club as well. People say, oh, wow, I shop at Costco, but you still go to Walmart to go and get your baby's diapers. That formula, the school supplies, the paper towels. Don't make it seem like I don't be seeing y'all up in there now. Okay? I be seeing videos, and I don't be messing around with Walmart like that anyways. But I remember last time people were like, oh yeah, I'm boycotting. I remember I went in there because I had to go get some scrubs. That's before I found out that Amazon had better scrubs. But I went over there and I looked. Why y'all up in there? Okay, so let's not make a scene. And then people want to say, oh, well, I don't shop at Walmart. Do you got a Sam's Club card? No, I don't do that. You got that Amazon Prime, that Amazon Music? Well, I mean, I like my little 2-day shipping. You know they said the same thing Target said. I'm just saying, I mean, y'all gonna do whatever y'all gonna do. That's your business. You do whatever. People be so up in arms about Target when Target really was not a necessity anyways. Walmart was, or is more so, because Walmart is in places that Targets are not. Okay, Walmarts are in places that Kroger's or your Myers are simply not. Okay, like for example, when I was in college, we had all the big hitters. We had Meijer, Walmart, Aldi, Schnucks. Okay, and for people who don't know what Schnucks is, if you're from like the Midwest, it's pretty much like a Jewasco, really. So we didn't have Jewasco, but we had the Schnucks. Okay, so we had the big hitters. Okay, and there was no Mariano's, but and Domino's was already gone. But anyways, so you go and look at those places, right? All these really affordable, right? I mean, y'all. I mean, this was a walking distance of the Walmart, okay? And then across the street from the Walmart was the Meijer right there, okay? And the Schnucks was planted everywhere, you know? So in an area like that on a campus, well, it was off campus, but you know, in like a campus town, campus city, it was easier to be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna boycott Walmart. Okay, whatever, I'll go to Schnucks. Even though if you outside of food, you're gonna be paying more money. Okay, let's just keep it real for anything else. And a lot of the other stuff that Walmart has, a lot of those other places don't have. That just is what it is, you know. So fine. You're like, okay, well, I'll do that, okay. Or I'll just go to Meijer, cool, whatever. I'll just go to Kroger or whatever. But not everyone has those options. That's the thing. Not everyone has those options. And then you got to see how some of these stores are ran too, okay? Because I tell you right now, every time I go into my Costco, I've gone in there 2 or 3 times. It has not been a good experience. People are lined up, long lines. You got a certain demographic of people who they just be on their phone, just be looking around, doing all this extra stuff. Meanwhile, the lady's telling them to go like this, and they just like this. And it's like, okay. And it's every time. It's every time I go, even if it's in the early afternoon, late at night, middle. It was always just busy and it wasn't Saturdays. It was always busy all the time. I'm like, I'd rather, and even Sam's was getting on my nerves. I'm like, well, I'd rather just go over to Sam's. If we're gonna keep it real, that's why I got a Sam's card, you know. But there's a lot that there is to unpack in regards to this. So I find that people are being a bit harsh on this lady, and what she's trying to say and what she's doing. I get it. At the end of the day, she's trying to make some money, y'all. Okay, let's just keep it real. A lot of people trying to make money, so I get it in regards to where she's coming from. I just feel like people are being a little harsh because then they're being hypocrites about other things, but that's not what this video is about. Let's get into these videos, and I think the first one's going to be her just showcasing her items that she has in Target, and then we're going to get into some of these comments. Okay, let's get into it.
So here I am back at Target. I didn't tell y'all that my new collection also includes a little bit of new stationery and things. So let's get into how very good it really is. This is one of my favorite things. It's a travel pouch, but I also would use it as a little bag because I can, a little purse. But look, you got 1, 2, 3 compartments to put all your things in. It's just so very good, like that, okay? But let's show you what else we got. We have gift bags, you are loved, the beautiful flowers, and of course the tissue paper. Hear me well. Scented watercolor marker set, okay? I want y'all to hear the colors. My business blue, yes yellow, you are seeing green, freedom pink, positive purple, perfect pink, get into it green, and my favorite, Tabitha Brown. That's me because I'm brown, and that's my last name. Stay focused. Okay, ballpoint pen sets that have very good on it. Hello there, like that. A very good coloring book. This is an adult coloring book, but children can also use it. We have journals, gratitude business. Are we grateful? Yes. We also have, now this is my son's favorite thing. I'm gonna ask to get into this when I get home because I have one that's open, and I'm gonna show y'all how to, these right here work. Affirmation card set. I also open this up when I get home and show y'all how this works as well. They're beautiful, but you know, we set affirmations for ourselves. Yes, very good. Arts and crafts. So this one right here is a tote kit. You have a little bag, and then you can, you know, paint. It's my business because it's my business on there. Very good. Get your paint on. Blackie told me to tell y'all about this the other day. Do the embroidery kit with Blackie on there, and he's so colorful and cute. I used to actually do this with my aunt when I was a little girl. So I said, you know what, let's bring it back. Okay, a little nostalgia for you. The hanging. This is a hanging canvas set, and it says have the most amazing day on it once you finish painting it and things. Yes. Another journal that say my business, okay? So when you put your business in here, it ain't for nobody else to read. That's your business, yeah. This one says weekly business. It's more of a planner, so it looks like that. So it's like your weekly Monday through Sunday. Then these goals to do if you're meal planning, because I know in the new year everybody's trying to stay right. Yeah, keep it tight and right. This is perfect for you. And also, this is my favorite thing right here. This is the very good hydration. So as you're drinking your bottles of water, you mark it off every day. Okay, I drink 1 bottle, 2 bottles, 3 bottles. This is your reminder to drink your water and mind your business. Yeah, very good. My very good notes. It's just a good old notepad, but the colors are inside. You can close it up like so, like that. This is really special. So I made this. I thought of my son because sometimes when kids are in that teenage stage, sometimes it's hard for them to express themselves. But if you both keep a journal, right? So it's called You and Me Business. You can put things in there that you may want to say to them, and they can put things in here they may want to say to you. So you can put a question I've always wanted to ask. Maybe they don't feel comfortable asking, or maybe you don't feel comfortable asking. But this is great for children, but it's also great for relationships, right? Friendships. Look, adult parents and children, okay? It's a me and you journal, but this is where you can journal together and ask each other questions. Yes, and last but not least, a very good plans. Okay, so this is a very good planner for the whole year. You have your tabs here, your stickers, how you can mark your tabs. And this is your everyday calendar, right? To mind your business throughout the year. Okay, very good. But this is my new collection, only available at Target. This one is in the stationery and gifting area. So don't be confused by the one that's in the kitchen. I got two, okay? So you got stuff in the kitchen. Of course, then I got the food, but I also have stationery business, okay? Very good. I thank y'all for your support. And until the next time, honey, y'all go about y'all business. Have the most amazing day. But even if you can't have a good one, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's here. Honey, tap me again over here at Target. Very good. God is amazing.
Didn't I tell y'all before when Tabitha Brown was pledging her allegiance and basically telling y'all not to stop supporting the Black-owned businesses? And she's the only one that's front and center. She's the only one that's front and center right now. I didn't go look for the Bob Tarts in this store, but the other store I went to, Bob Tarts was not there. And the only place to get them was at Target. So I haven't been seeing as much Keurig stuff, but I've been seeing more Tabitha Brown stuff. Like, everything is catered to Tabitha Brown. Like, she was not in this aisle before. She was always on the inside end cap. And people are like, oh, we got to support these Black businesses outside of Target. Donna's Recipe, I think that's what it's called. Her hair care line, that's the only one you can support outside of Target because her collaboration with Target is just that, a collaboration. So you can't buy it through her. You can only support her hair care line. That's it. So the other businesses, and I think a couple of them did not re-sign because of the DEI situation. And when I say the store was empty, I've never seen Target empty on a Thursday. It's always crowded on Thursday, Friday, and it hasn't been. And it felt good not to buy anything. I didn't buy a damn thing. It felt really good.
I am in business in multiple ways, with Target, with Walmart, and Amazon, right? I sell Donna's Recipe, my hair care products, right, are on Amazon. They're also in Target. And of course, I have a huge partnership with Target. I sell my seasonings at Walmart. I do business all over, just like many other people. And what I can tell you is, if we all decide to boycott and be like, no, we're not spending no money at these organizations. Listen, I get it. And if that's how you feel, honey, I 1000% get it. But so many of us will be affected, and our sales will drop. Our business will be hurt. And if any of you know business, it doesn't just happen overnight where you can just go take all your stuff and pull it off the shelves. There's a process. And then you got to, where you going to put it? You got to have a place to store it. That's money, right? You got to have another place to sell it, which is almost impossible sometimes. And even if you sell online, it's a process when it comes to business. And everyone does not have the funds or the means or the availability, the space to house their own products, right? But the thing that concerns me the most, and I want you to hear me and hear me well, if we all decide to stop supporting said businesses and say, I can't buy nothing from there, even the businesses who were affected by the DEI ban, right? What that does is you take all our sales and they dwindle down.
The backlash Tabitha Brown is receiving right now is a prime example of the agitation in the wealth gap in the United States. I talk about this a lot when I am training people on sales. The bigger the wealth gap gets between you and your core audience, the more nitpicky people will become. People really are listening to Tabitha's statement and in her video, and it's what she's not saying, and it's how she positioned it that they are upset about. They aren't upset because she said, hey, go buy from Black authors. They aren't even accusing her of taking up for Target. It's the fact that she started it talking about the New York Times bestseller list, and that is a very specific Black author that doesn't include the majority.
There's a bookish conversation going on right now involving the Target boycott, specifically a big creator, TV personality, Tabitha Brown, whose smile just makes me feel warm inside, just hit the New York Times list for her picture book, Hello There, Sunshine. And she made a post saying that she's concerned that BIPOC authors are not hitting the list because of the Target boycott. And a lot of other authors have pushed back on that, specifically a creator named Ebony Janice. She has a nonprofit organization that in 2024 spent $1 million trying to get Black books in the hands of readers and organizations, and in addition, hiring experts to analyze the New York Times bestseller list. And what she found out is that it has absolutely nothing to do with numbers, which I think we all knew, but she has data. She said one of the books they were tracking outsold 14 out of 15 books on the New York Times list. It didn't make it. And a lot of the other books they were tracking also outsold books on the list by thousands, not even hundreds. And one of the reasons is that only certain stores report to the New York Times. It's part of the magical algorithm. And a lot of Black-owned bookstores have not filled out the application. I don't know, their numbers are not being reported to the New York Times. So you could sell thousands of books at your local independently owned Black bookstore, and those numbers may not be included in the New York Times list, making it so much harder for a BIPOC author to ever hit the list. So it's not just Target, it's an entire system that's created. It's not numbers, it's just the New York Times, hopes and dreams and whims, what goes on that list. So what do you think of bestseller lists? Have you made one before, and do you have any insider information?
Y'all beefing with Auntie Tab because y'all think that she's trying to convince y'all to go back to Target, and that's not at all what she was trying to do. And at this point, I am tired of people that just lack comprehension or just don't want to understand somebody's point of view because you are miserable. It's embarrassing at this point. All the lady did was come online and make a video saying because of the Target boycott, the Black authors have been suffering from sales because of it. She never came online trying to convince us to go to Target at all. She said, if y'all don't want to go to Target, I get it. She said, but at least go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon or these authors' direct links so they can start getting sales. And all the ignorant heard was Target, and y'all took that and ran with it instead of actually listening to the whole video to see where she was coming from. And it was this guy in her comment section with this whole think piece trying to drag her for filth, giving his unwarranted opinion. And she said, or she commented, did you even watch the whole video? And he admitted, no, I lost interest 20 seconds in. How can you have a thorough opinion if you did not even listen to the entire video? But we're not going to focus on the negative. We're going to focus on what she truly meant when she was making that video. And it's simply, go find these Black authors and buy their books. The end.
I did a Threads post where I shared Tabitha Brown's video about Black authors having their ability to be on the New York Times list being impacted because of the Target boycott, which I believe to be false. There's a lot of nuance around the conversation that needs to be had from the perspective of the publishing industry, which operates very differently from other CPG companies. First and foremost, readers who intend to buy a book are not going to not read it because it isn't available at a specific store like a Target. If they are library readers or audiobook consumers, The availability in libraries or accessibility to a copy of the audiobook may impact them acquiring it, but for a physical or digital copy, retail or channel, not so much. Readers will go to multiple stores, channels, locations to find a book that they want. We saw this last week with Kennedy Ryan's Can't Get Enough. So let's first remove the thought that the boycott is impacting sales enough to prevent books from making the list. Frederick T. Joseph intentionally prevented the sale of his book at Target in support of the boycott, and his book was still an instant New York Times bestseller. Second, let's talk about the New York Times list itself. While I believe that this is common knowledge within the book community, I don't think readers and consumers know this, but the New York Times list is an editorial. It's not raw sales numbers. I could write a book and it sell 1 million copies tomorrow on Amazon, and it will not be on the New York Times list because it requires an arbitrary blend of sales from Amazon, traditional bookstores like Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, indie bookstores, and traditional brick and mortar stores like Target, Walmart, etc. And even with the indie bookstores, they have to be reporting stores who report their sales to New York Times. So not even all indie bookstores will help an author on the list. Help an author get on the list. Third, we need to talk about the lack of distribution that Black books have. Target's assortment is relatively small, especially when you consider how many books are published each Tuesday. The number of Black books are a fraction of that assortment, and those that are in Target don't have full distribution. They aren't in all stores in a single city, let alone all stores across the country. I personally love Tabitha Brown. I've been a fan of hers since the TTLA and will continue to be a fan, which leads me to my next point. Tabitha Brown is a celebrity author. Her experience in publishing is the exception. She gets way more support than what your average author receives, which is astronomically more than what Black authors receive. And by support, I'm talking about tour stops, advances, distribution, press, publicity, marketing, laydowns. With or without Target, Tabitha is still positioned to make the list because of the publisher support. Your average Black author schedules their own tour stops, does all their own marketing and influencer outreach, and they are promoting their books for 6 to 9 months at a time, compared to celebrity authors who will lock in and to the publisher for a month. As an example, I was working on an author programming for one of the largest events back in 2023 with a Black audience, and we wanted Tabitha as one of the authors for our fireside chat. We reached out to her publisher and learned that we were out of her availability to the publisher window, and I needed to go directly to her team. She was already attending the event as a guest of a major sponsor. Her team wanted us to pay an honorarium that was so high for a 20-minute conversation about her book that it was more than our entire budget. Alternatively, almost every author who was there was sent by their publisher, who covered their travel stay with no honorarium. A few even paid out of pocket themselves to attend because they all recognized how important it was for them to be in front of this audience. Tabitha didn't need this crowd or any other crowd, and her team passed. I'm using this as an example to show that celebrity authors have an extremely different publishing journey. But I want to be clear that I will always celebrate a Black woman getting her bag, but I know that there are very few authors, let alone Black authors, who would ever be offered a high 5-figure deal to come talk about their book for 20 minutes. It's not the same. Lastly, I looked at some of the authors that were included in the original caption or comments, and while yes, they are traditionally published, one of the authors had a laydown of less than 10,000 books. The publisher didn't even put enough books in stores to make the list, let alone Target stores. Something in my eye. The New York Times and publishing industry have created this false narrative that the New York Times list determines the success of the book. Meanwhile, they both have major control on whether you or not you make it, which is why we are always so excited to see authors like Kennedy Ryan and Tia Williams make the list, because we know that they have insane obstacles to overcome to get there. The Black authors who make the list are the exception, not the norm. And frankly, it's because of racism in publishing, something that I spoke in detail with examples back in March. Black authors aren't prominently displayed. They aren't in the new fiction, nonfiction section in Barnes & Noble, which is the first thing you see in the store. They don't get table displays. They aren't front-facing. We only see them spine side. The path to purchase most Black books are because they are on someone's TBR list, and they went specifically to purchase that book. And more times than not, it isn't because of marketing by the publisher. There are only a few that really truly support their authors and fully market their books. The marketing is done by the author and Black book influencers. And even when you have beautiful support from your publisher like Read Forever or Berkeley, you will see the Black authors grinding in a way that their peers do not have to, and definitely celebrity authors have never. Victoria Christopher Murray has great support from her publisher, but like we saw with Kennedy, despite having previously sold well over 1 million copies of her last 2 books, both New York Times bestsellers, Barnes & Noble didn't put the book out first week, or they only had 2 copies. Both Kennedy and Victoria had prior proven success and deserved a display. Even with major publisher support, which is rare for a Black author, the stores can sabotage them. There were Barnes & Noble stores that didn't even order a case of Can't Get Enough, even though the previous book in the series made New York Times. So I say all of that to say that yes, support Black books by buying from indie bookstores. Leave reviews on Amazon, Storygraph, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads. Tell 5 people about the book, but understand that implying that the boycott is preventing people from making New York Times ignores the underlying problems in publishing and the disparities that non-white authors have that systemically prevent them from making the list. That is all. I hope this helps.